Great wealth and fame can be found in the east of Middle-earth. However, today these factions have come to exploit it. The Dwarves are reinforcing the men of Harad and the men of Rohan, sending their aid to the forces of the Easterlings. Which side will come out on top and gain this much coveted wealth and fame? Hey, how's it going, guys? My name is Jackie Vision. Welcome back to another Total War Rise of Mordor online battle. Today we are diving in with a pretty quick one. This battle is only 12 minutes, so it is sure to be explosive. And when we have these awesome factions on the battlefield, what is not to love? Obviously, we have the Dwarves right here on the far left-hand side, allied, of course, like I said, with the forces of the newly crowned Harad, which have just found their ways into the game itself. You can see some of the awesome Tomb Reclaimers right here who are going to take back the Carracks of old. Wait, wrong universe. Then we also have some of these Archers of the Red Mountain, a pretty standard force, but obviously the Dwarves are not known for their skill with a bow. And then on the front line, we have a sturdy force of Erebor axes ready to hold this line. We also have some Merchant Cavalry on the right-hand side and also on the left-hand side, and then of course the shock infantry ready to come crashing in. The Warriors of the Red Mountain, such a deadly foe that they can basically break through pretty much any armor that they're going to be coming up against. Over on the extreme right, we have the newly, the newly reinforced Haradrim. This is one of the newest factions to Rise of Mordor, and they look absolutely spectacular. They're a mix of several different tribes in the Haradrim. You obviously have the kind of generic Haradrim, which we know and love. You have the tribal ones, and then obviously you also have the Black Numenorians as well. So a nice little range of units right there. You can see some of the Black Numenorians back here moving up in their, fairly heavily armored units. And again, this horse, just look at that. I'll pause it right there and just take a look at these soldiers. They glisten in the sunlight. Just such a spectacular looking unit, and the entire faction looks incredible. And obviously we also then have the tribe, so a nice little kind of experimentation right there. Across the board, we're seeing a bit of everything that Harad do have to offer, and I really like this. I think it can do some really fun stuff as well when the campaign comes out as well. If you're playing as Harad, having to maybe keep all three tribes, three different factions under your control and stuff, could be very exciting. Then over on the extreme right-hand side, this side, we have the men of Rohan. A bunch of yeomans of the Mark on their front line, supported in by the Knights of the Mark. Again, heavy cavalry from Rohan. They also have actually a decent front line as well, taking some of these Erling retainers. Actually a pretty decent frontline sword infantry. It's like the only swords that Rohan do get to bring to bear, but are still pretty deadly. We also have 2 units of horse archers up here moving up to harass the enemy. And then in the back line, we do have 2 units of the Guards of the Golden Hall, so extremely heavy spearmen. Obviously, Rohan don't have the best frontline infantry. They can still hang with some of the infantry, so it's not like they're going to be completely outclassed, and it's a good idea to put them up against the Eastlings, because they would not really stand too well against the Dwarfs. Then, representing the east over on this side, we do have the Loke Rim of the Easterlings. Really, really dark there. Sorry, I'm trying to find a good angle, but apparently the sunlight is not here to glint off their armor this day. So, and on their front line, obviously, the standard infantry with some archers back there. And then, obviously, on the far extreme flanks, we do have some of the Lancers. Again, these guys were newly added. Actually, they were completely redone in this patch, which is always pretty interesting. So obviously these Lancers are going to be doing pretty decently, and sorry, I just realized I've been saying obviously about 7 times in the past 2 minutes, so I will not say it. I promise I will not say it the entire rest of the episode. So those of you who are playing the drinking game where every time I say it you take a shot, you guys can rest easy now, but your liver will be safe. So they will, oh my god, I also almost said it right there. So they will be doing pretty decently over on the right-hand side against the escort merchants. The Dwarven cavalry is not too great. We do also have some of the Erling horse archers moving up. However, they are going to be taking a volley or 2 from the defensive archers firing in. But yeah, they need to be very careful. Obviously, they have the, oh god damn it, I said it! I'm so sorry. They do have the mobility to harass, and they won't be taking as much damage from this arrow fire because it'll be a little bit less accurate, but for the most part they are taking casualties. You can see them horses dropping down. They do have some supporting fire though by the yeomans of the Mark, really just trying to put any pressure on them, and the cavalry is better suited just to kind of harass on the flanks. I'd much prefer to use this cavalry like around here just to kind of hit away at these units rather than committing them so heavily against that front line, because you're just going to kind of get counter-sniped. Now again, they haven't really lost any, like 9 horses from that unit, but it's just a bit unnecessary. You don't need to commit them in against the Haradrim archers. You can leave them on this flank and just use them to like kind of harass the back line, kind of keep the enemy archers busy, keep this cavalry back so that you have that bit more of that maneuverability. And oh my god, on the right hand side, we are seeing a full-on push here by the dwarfs. They are just going hard right now. You need to be very careful though. There is a unit of halberds here blocking off this avenue, and right now the escort merchants are getting hammered by the Locarim archers. The dwarfs just doing what they do best, closing the distance and charging in. Oh my god, for Dane, my men. Look at them go, just really clattering in against the Locarim, looking for blood, looking to use that dwarven prowess over a short distance. And just get stuck in, and you love to see it. I love to see aggressive dwarven players. We are also seeing the escort merchant cavalry going in against the Vigil Lancers. Luckily as well, we do have a unit of the Warriors of Red Mountain getting stuck in as well. And this is really good. If you guys don't know, shock infantry actually performs very, very well against cavalry when they're stationary, because they can bring that armor piercing to bear so effectively. Whereas when you compare it to, say, you know, kind of on the charge, obviously the cavalry is going to rip through them because the shock infantry cannot withstand, sorry, the shock infantry cannot withstand the charge, so they just get torn apart. But when you can get them stuck into like an engagement like this, they do very well because the armor piercing comes in, and obviously cavalry is fairly well armored. A lot of the archers as well from the dwarfs, the archers of Red Mountain, trying to focus down these halberds, which I'm surprised aren't making their way into this cavalry engagement. I guess they're worried about being hammered, and you can already see the dwarven prowess here. They haven't lost a man. Neither of them. These guys have already lost 6, so the dwarven front line is going to win this if nothing else happens. Does seem like the cavalry, the escort merchants, did try to get around, but unfortunately failed and were just hammered by arrow fire. That is going to open up this unit from the Vigil Lancers to actually make a move around here and then start doing some hammer and anvils, which would not be good. They could really just kind of tear that apart. We also do have obviously the Mansion Reclaimers as well making their way up. The cavalry is continuing just to harass, and I guess it's a good kind of focus for this arrow fire as the Rohirrim make their way around the left hand side, both sides really being committed in. And there you go, you are seeing some more of the Haradrim Lancers making their way around here, but I think for the most part that is going to be going in favor of the men of Rohan. Their cavalry just kind of supports that front line so effectively with all that extra cavalry. But the longer this kind of stays off, the more in favor it is of the Eastlings. They have way more range that they can bring to bear on that front line. And exactly what I said was going to happen is happening. Them rear charges are just going to be brutal. The Dwarfs are one of the factions that really struggle to deal with that. And that's why you just have to play so defensively with your cavalry. You can't just throw it forward and try and get behind the enemy lines, because you know your infantry are going to win. So you just kind of need to play very defensive, keep that cavalry back, force the enemy to come to you, and then engage them on your terms. Generally, when you do that, you can get a lot better setups right now. The Archer Fire is doing a great job, though, trying to pick these guys off. Taking them down one by one is always going to be a good idea. Just try and whittle down their numbers. As the cavalry does start to die, their charge becomes so less effective. But you can see that cavalry charge going in absolutely destroyed this unit of shock infantry. And you can also see as right here as well, the fight is going pretty well in favor, even with the halberds being brought in to engage this. The support of the Warriors of Red Mountain have really come in clutch and actually forced the Bane of the Steppe to pull out. The Bane of the Steppe, one of the strongest cavalry units in the entire game. These guys do not mess about. Really excellent melee cavalry. And here we go, cavalry moving. The Rohirrim are charging, and look at that. Oh, that was a perfect charge there by the Rohirrim. Completely caught the Haradrim off guard. They got kind of like that last second charge, but still going to be a struggle to say the least. Now you can see these different types of warriors going in. Luckily though, the Desert Spears can reinforce this very effectively, and we are getting another unit of Knights of the Mark here charging in. And even though these spears were braced, the Rohirrim just tear through them. They need to try and pull out there and trample on a lot of these guys. And yeah, just look at that devastation. They needed to be in shield wall. They needed to be a little bit denser. And yeah, completely ripped away. Again, this is a fairly low tier unit. This is a levy unit, so the lowest tier you can get. But even still, oh, nice push here by the Haradrim, finding the gaps in the battle line. The archers are hammering them. But what is going to be the target? Oh my god, the archers are massacring these serpents. God. We're going to try and go after the archers. Point blank volleys right there. Really blunting that charge to no end. The charge goes off, but quite quickly the men of Rohan are reinforcing. Again, on the right-hand side, you can see the prowess of the Dwarves really engaging here. They're going to rip through this front line momentarily. However, the Dwarven general is just under so much volley fire from the arrows. Even them sturdy shields are struggling as they try and help out here, try and reinforce their brethren. But yeah, the arrow fire is a real pain in the arse. The cavalry over on this side are still fighting hard. And if we go in slow-mo and just take a quick little look-see at the overall battlefield, you guys can really see the battlefield unfold. The Dwarves are breaking through there very, very soon, I think. And that's going to completely rip up the Easterling line. Over on the left-hand side, however, the Haradrim are now out of archers and their front lines are engaged. They should be expected to win that unless the cavalry, I mean, I don't know where these Knights of the Mark are going, but they kind of need to turn around and get themselves stuck in. We do have Prince Phaedron as well, getting some damage in right there. He's leading the Rohirrim this day. Hopefully not into an ambush. There he is right there. Very nice indeed. A general does go down. Yeah, the Dwarven general does fall, unfortunately. But that shouldn't be too much of an issue for the Dwarves. They are sturdy folk, and they're even winning up this cavalry fight as well. This Bane of a Steppe needs to get himself stuck in, but you can just see like the Dwarves were completely outmatched here cavalry-wise. However, a unit of shock infantry committing itself late to the battle was really detrimental to winning that. And obviously they're already, prolonged on winning this front line as well. Even though the Dwarven general has broken, it is not the end of the world. And now the cavalry of the men of Rohan are completely ripping them apart. This unit is not braced at all. And even the horse archers are going to go in as Phaedra closes in as well. We do have some of the elite Black Numenorian shock infantry moving up. But again, they're not going to be braced. Phaedra could quite easily turn around and do exactly what I say is going to happen. And again, you can just see shock infantry just cannot withstand that charge. Even if they were braced, they would have got ripped apart. You really need heavy, kind of sword infantry. You need heavy spear infantry to really gut that. And then you have your cavalry counter charge, and it does definitely take away the enemy line. And now you can see Rohan in action. When Rohan get into this point of the battlefield, they're just so deadly. Rear charging into the back lines, causing mayhem. And this is just never the situation you want to be in. Absolutely deadly. Really, really dangerous as the cavalry move in. You can just see really turning the tide. At the end of the day, Rohan should not be winning this frontline battle, but they are because of the combined arms. They're using horsepower, they're using their range effectively, and getting themselves stuck in. Bane of a Steppe, though, still around. 80 kills on this unit now, looking to make its way back into the battle. Again, I love it. I love these units. They're just doing such a great job with the new updates. They really are. I have nothing but praise for this mod. The past like 5-6 months of Rise of Mordor have just been spectacular. The best it's ever been. Sturdy work on the campaign. We have amazing new factions. Their new 3D modelers are just spectacular. We've got trolls very close. I know we've been talking about trolls for so long, but they are very close now, I think. New battle maps as well. I just can't wait. I just can't wait to see the future of Rise of Mordor. I cannot wait for the campaign to be released. It's just going to be so spectacular. And considering the next historical game is probably still 2-3 years away, Rise of Mordor is going to just fit into that gap, hopefully perfectly, with a campaign release. Again, it's, who knows when the campaign release is going to come out. It is going to come out when it comes out. But I think most mod team are like optimistic, for a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years. And again, they're not planning on releasing like bits and bobs. I think they are planning on releasing a fairly, comprehensive campaign when it does come out, which I think is definitely the right idea. People have already been waiting, several, hundreds of years for it to come out. So, what's another, 6 months to a year to make it just really good when it comes out. Again, that stuff might change. They might decide that it's in a good enough spot to release whenever it's ready to release. I guess that is literally, it's going to take as long as it takes. But back to the battle, it does seem like the men of Rohan and the forces of these things are going to claim the riches and claim this day as their own. A really exciting battle indeed. I love seeing factions really fighting. And just to let everybody know, I am still very much looking for more Rise of Mordor online battles. So if you're in the Rise of Mordor Discord or just playing with some friends, please don't hesitate to send me in some battles. Again, any like one-off cool scenarios you guys want to do, whether it's like reinforcement battles, ambushes, stuff with a cool story, send them my way. I absolutely love that stuff, and it will definitely get featured on the channel. Probably not looking for any 1v1s, but for the most part, just kind of TV2s, like 3v3s, TV2 large armies, and especially if you guys have any cool scenarios, sieges, send them my way indeed. And this was actually a pretty stacked. I know all these players, so they're all pretty well versed in the Rise of Mordor competitive scene. So kill-wise, taking a look at it, Bane of a Step, 200 kills, charging into unbraced soldiers, dwarves, that's going to definitely come out in their favor. Rohan, Theodred, 335 kills, what an absolute monster. And even the rest of the Knights of the Mark just ripping through what remained of the Haradrim, unfortunately. Even though the Haradrim shock infantry didn't really fare too well, they still got 82 kills, 65. That's not bad, honestly. And their archers racking up a lot of kills right there. The dwarves really committing in there. The warriors of Red Mountain just cut down the enemy very effectively. And then finally the Eastlings. Sorry, we already looked at the Eastlings, didn't we? Yeah, we did indeed. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you want to see more Rise of Mordor on the channel, make sure to drop a like and a comment down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one.